Have you ever heard the story of how God once dug a well for humankind? That year, the world suffered a terrible drought. The earth cracked open, crops withered, and rivers ran dry. From the heavens above, God watched the poor trying to quench their thirst by wiping their lips with damp cloths, while the rich poured clean water onto the ground just to feel cool. Puzzled by such inequality, God decided to descend to the mortal realm. He disguised himself as an old beggar in tattered clothes, carrying a broken bowl, and wandered to a place called White Capital Town to witness the hearts of humankind. At the eastern edge of the town, he came across Madame Jinji, the wealthy owner of a granary, sipping tea at her doorstep. God smiled and said, "Sister, may I have a little water to drink?" She glanced at his ragged clothes and sneered. "Water is precious these days. If you can carry all the grain in my yard away, then I'll give you some." Moved by compassion, God rolled up his sleeves and worked tirelessly until sunset, moving the sacks of grain one by one. At last, Madame Jam brought out half a bowl of water and said coldly, "Here, old man, drink and be gone." When God looked down, the bowl was filled with sour, foul-smelling water and floating rotten leaves. Disgusted, he poured it out and left without a word. Further down the road, he met a rich landlord named Jia Renyi, guarding the only well in town that still had water. "Sir," he asked, "may I have a little water?" The man squinted and replied, "1 tael of silver per bowl. How many bowls do you want?" God sighed. "How can one charge money for water from the earth?" The landlord frowned. "This is my land and the well is mine. If you have no money, get out of my sight." Heart heavy with sorrow, God turned away and walked toward the village gate. There, he saw an old woman named Granny 2 digging into the dry earth. Curious, he asked, "Sister, what are you digging?" She wiped her sweat and said, "I'm digging a well so that my people can have water to drink." God looked at the parched ground and asked, "100 wells have dried up. Aren't you afraid this one will too?" She smiled. "If this well fails, I'll dig another. Heaven will not abandon us." God's eyes glowed with warmth. He placed his broken bowl into her hands and said, "Keep this bowl safe." Then, in a swirl of blue smoke, he vanished. That night, thunder roared across the heavens and rain poured down in torrents. Madame Jan's granary collapsed and her hoarded grain was washed away into the fields. The landlord's well overflowed wildly, flooding his land. By morning, the dry plain had turned into a vast river. Only Granny 2 stood quietly by her new well, holding the broken bowl now brimming with crystal clear water. To her astonishment, the water in the bowl could multiply itself. Rice placed inside it could grow endlessly, and whatever food it held would multiply 100-fold. From that day on, her village never knew thirst or hunger again. And Granny 2 often reminded her people, "A kind heart never dries, and pure water lasts forever. Heaven will never abandon those with goodness in their hearts."